You know, there's a great beauty if you can stop for a moment and imagine you go to the top of Everest. I've been to the top of mountains before, and you look down and you see the other peaks. It's just so extraordinarily beautiful. So, when you're climbing up that mountain, it's not so beautiful. All you see is ragged cliffs, difficult terrain. And so life itself has been to reach a peak. For 6,000 years, humanity has been climbing to this peak. And I want to tell you what we're going to see when we very soon get to the peak. And the most beautiful thing is that everything we've been through was actually part of the journey to the peak. So, within the next couple of weeks, first of all, there will be a resurrection of the dead. All the Jewish dead, the great sages, will get up. We'll see Moses, we'll see Aaron, we'll see King David, King Solomon, just tens of thousands, if not millions upon millions of righteous Jews will get up. And they will first come, as it says that Mashiach first comes to the synagogue of the last great Rebbe, because the Shekhinah, the presence of God, travels there. And that is 770 Eastern Parkway. And there, all the cameras of all the newspapers and magazines and of obviously television around the world will broadcast this incredible sight. And the Jews will be dancing and singing. It will be like 7 days of dancing. And then the Holy Temple, which is built in the sky, will come down. It will, I don't know if it's going to exactly what's going to happen, but it will be kind of, let's call it, hovering in the sky. It speaks about a dance where God will be in the middle and all the holy tzaddikim will be around. And then clouds will come and they will like magically transport the Jewish people, their homes, their businesses, their synagogues to Israel. Not only that, it will resurrect all the ancient synagogues, and Jerusalem will become a metropolis of all these synagogues. I don't want to go too deep into all the details, but this will create a new world order, a spiritual world order, where the whole world will be seeking only to know God better. It says every Sabbath, every new moon, every Rosh Chodesh, the whole world will come to the holy temple. My house will be called a house of prayer for all people. And we will all continuously engage both in the mission that we personally have, because really nothing changes. The story of life is the same story. It's just now we understand the story. We understand that we're here for a spiritual mission, whether it's being a spouse, whether it's being a parent, whether it's being a teacher, whether even, let's say, a doctor, helping people get healthier. Whatever it is, you have a special role. This world was made and God gave us all special roles. But, and this is the amazing but, now that you see the peak, a beautiful peak where everybody is happy and everybody knows their mission. That's really what happiness is, knowing why you're here, and more importantly, doing it. Now we understand all the, let's call it, pathways up the mountain. We understand why 3,300 years ago God gave the Torah, and he showed everybody that Moses is a great prophet, because not only is Moses a great prophet to the Jews, and the Arabs or the Muslims call him Musa. The Christians obviously call him Moses. In fact, the Jews call him Moshe. So the point is that when these prophets, as the Rebbe brings down from the Medrash, the tzaddikim are actually created for the times of Mashiach. Why? Because now when we see them, the whole world that already reveres them will take instruction from them, and everybody will be on the same page. It says that when Mashiach comes, it's actually a prophecy, Gentiles will say, Sheker hin chilu lahem avosayim, that those parts of the religions that are false, they'll say, our ancestors told us a lie. But those parts, and we're already finding, I don't know the numbers, but a lot of Christians embracing the idea the Old Testament is true, etc. So, in other words, there is a profound um, stepping stone that everything that occurred, as the Rambam said, even the development of Christianity and Islam, which really embraces most of the world, was all to prepare the world for Mashiach. Not only kind of the concept of Mashiach, but also the concept of mitzvahs, the fact that there's right and wrong. You know, Judaism is the only religion, or I shouldn't say the only, or let's call it the religion that began the concept of right and wrong. In paganism, there's no such thing as right and wrong. You can, God forbid, sacrifice your child to whatever God, and then he's going to do something for you. So not only is it not right and wrong, it's the opposite of right and wrong. But as long as you're kind of appeasing the king. So that's where Judaism differs. It says, no, you have an obligation of right or wrong. That's absolutely true. So these concepts, remember, concepts don't come easily. One of the greatest historians, his name is Paul Johnson, and he wrote a history of the book, and he said many of the ideas that we take for granted in the West, such as law and order, right and wrong, the dignity of life, all these things come from the Bible. And he says that it takes sometimes, even though it seems obvious, a special genius to discover it. And of course it's not our genius, it's God. It's obvious, it's pretty obvious to us now, but it wasn't obvious. It wasn't the way the world functioned. And so the fact that people even think in these contexts is because this is an introduction of God. So now we see how God's plan, which is not that there should only be Jewish people, not only one people. Basically, God is infinite. He's great enough that we all have a special place in his plan. And therefore, one of the beautiful things about Judaism, I think, one of the things that God did when he made Judaism, is a very remarkable thing, because Judaism, to the best of my knowledge, is the only religion that says we don't proselytize. We're not looking for converts. Okay, if you want to convert, you may, but we're not looking. That's a very important thing, because it brought to the world the concept that you can be a good person. There's a second track called the 7 Noahide Laws, which is, of course, not to worship idols, not to curse God, not to steal, not to commit adultery, not to murder, not to eat from a living animal, and to have a justice system, and it also includes goodness and kindness. So, in other words, God is saying that we can all be good, we can all be special. You don't have to follow one track, and this is the pinnacle of the mountain, where there's one home, one holy temple. My house will become a house of prayer for all people, and yet we all have our individual expression within the totality of the infinity of God.